What's up, friends? Welcome to Roger's Rapid Reviews. Essentially, I'm going to be cramming as much information about this film or show into this video so you can make a decision for yourself as to whether to watch it or not. Today we'll be reviewing Tomorrow War. So Tomorrow War is a new Amazon Prime film that just dropped in 2021 that has a runtime of 2 hours and 20 minutes and is directed by Chris McKay. Now, Tomorrow War has a couple of notable actors and actresses, specifically Chris Pratt, who plays the main character Dan, and J.K. Simmons, who plays the character Slade. In addition to those two, we have Yvonne Strahovski, who plays the role of Vicky, whose identity is a mystery, and I'll let you guys figure that one out for yourselves. And altogether, Tomorrow War chronicles a world where soldiers come back from the future and warn humanity of a war that is going to occur sometime in the future, near future, between humans and an alien race. And this war is going to essentially end in the decimation of humanity altogether. So we're not going to win this war. Now, these soldiers have found a way to travel back in time and have come back to essentially train an army of soldiers to fight these aliens in the future. So that's the plot of this world. And Dan is drafted as one of those soldiers set to be sent in the future to fight these aliens. And essentially, this film chronicles his adventure as he embarks on that journey. Now, in terms of characters, Dan himself is really well built. You're gonna fall in love with him as a character, especially if you like Chris Pratt already. But even if you don't, he goes through difficulties. He's very humanized. He's a guy who is misunderstood and has so much to offer, but is undermined by the world around him. This opportunity to become a soldier to fight in the Tomorrow War gives him that chance to prove his worth, and as such, he's a very flamboyant, very fun leader type character who does a good job of keeping this film afloat. Other than Dan, however, the character development is not very strong. Most characters are flimsy, one-dimensional. Nobody is really well developed except for Dan. Even Dan himself, by the end of the show, becomes kind of an archetype. Now, if you're going to the show expecting really strong, well-developed characters, if you're going to the show expecting a really well-developed plot, you might be let down, and as such, I would not necessarily recommend this film. I think the best way to summarize this film is essentially it is an action film first that prioritizes hectic, long, prolonged action sequences that are highly engaging, very fun to watch, but essentially the point of this film is chaos. In terms of if it holds your attention or not, there is a lot of time travel science that is relatively fascinating. It's not 100% foolproof and it's not 100% scientifically backed, but it is relatively engaging and helps to add an element to this world and convince you that something like this is realistic, even though it's not, obviously. And even though there would be better alternatives to solving this issue. With this film, I would say, because of the length of the film, 2 hours and 20 minutes, you might have a hard time staying engaged and staying motivated to finish the film altogether if you aren't very involved or very engaged by the action. Now, the action steal the show in this film. They're highly engaging, super fast-paced, rapid, really quick. The aliens are fantastic, and I'll mention them in a second, but essentially the combat between humans and aliens is very engaging to watch, and the aliens are terrifying in this essence, so that helps keep you more engaged as you want these humans to survive. In terms of plot, I would not recommend analyzing or thinking too much about it. A lot of the concepts fall apart once you really start thinking about what is happening and what's going on. So because of that, I cannot stress this enough. If you want to watch this film, you should be going into expecting solely violence and chaos and action. And if you do go into it solely expecting that, you'll be very pleasantly surprised. In terms of what is unique about this film, I'd say definitely the call out is the animation and the CGI for the aliens. The aliens look really fantastic. They're menacing, they're scary, they're fast, they're really cool to look at and dangerous. And essentially that's all you need from aliens, right? Also, when the action does go down, And it does go down frequently. There are action sequences scattered throughout this entire film, and when they do go down, it is very hectic. There's bullets everywhere, violence everywhere. There's a lot to look at. It's very engaging, but it's also very flimsy in terms of the plot surrounding all of the action. I will give it credit for its unique premise. The idea of soldiers coming back, something like that's been used in Terminator series and some other films, but this film did do it in a unique way. And so if you're interested in that plot at all, I would say I recommend give it a chance. Again, don't think too much into it because it will fall apart if you overthink it, if you analyze what's happening. In terms of perfect setting for this film, I'd highly recommend it for an end of the day de-stress relax session, as this film is best enjoyed unplugged and really just sitting back and just watching chaos unfold is the best way to enjoy this film. This is also a great film with friends if you guys like to talk during films, or if you guys are interested in kind of picking apart a film, because the action scenes will keep you guys hooked and keep you interested, and it will give you something to talk about. But the plot is flimsy enough to where you guys could talk over it, zone out, and not miss too much. If you're fans of alien invasion films, if you're fans of films that prioritize action, alien warfare, and large-scale battles and large-scale warfare, then I highly recommend this film. In terms of similar shows or films, I would say World War Z, Edge of Tomorrow, even though Edge of Tomorrow had a little bit of a more well-developed and engaging plot, in my opinion. So all in all, I would say I recommend checking this film out if you're interested in action and chaos. If not, this is probably a skip. I gave this film a 2 out of 4 in terms of you can watch in background. I wouldn't recommend necessarily investing in it because it's not that amazing. It's not that fantastic, not that standout, but it does a good job of providing thrills and excitement in terms of alien warfare. Let me know in the comments below if you do check out Tomorrow War, what you thought about it, if you agree with my review or not. Now I'll be moving on to the Parents Guide, where I'll detail a little bit about what's in this film so you can decide if you want to show it to your kids or vice versa. In terms of action, I give this film a 4 out of 5. As I mentioned before, there is a lot of action and violence in this film. It's all alien violence, but the aliens do cause damage to humans. They eat humans, they shoot humans with these barbs. There is a good amount of violence. Also, the aliens get shot at and killed many times by humans. Action's a cornerstone of this film, and so because of that, if you're someone who is not interested in action or violence whatsoever, I would not recommend this film. In terms of sexual content, I'll give this film a 1.5. There's almost none altogether. There's a couple of sexual references and one use of the D word and a mention of a birthday suit, but all are relatively light. They're at the front of the film and are relatively brief. In terms of language, I give this film a 3 out of 5. There's some swearing. The S word is used frequently, especially in one scene specifically where it's used 38 times in a row. Literally in a row. Other than that scene, however, there isn't too much swear. There's one F word, but it's used very briefly and it's kind of blurred out with all the action and violence happening around it. So in that sense, this film isn't really language heavy, so it should be safe for some older audiences like teens or older. So all in all, I recommend Tomorrow War if you're really into action, if you're really into alien warfare, if you're really into violence like that. If not, this would probably be a good pass. And until next time, catch y'all later.